One of your papers touted insights, and I'm quoting from the newspaper here, into male rape culture based on the inspection of 10,000 dog genitals. I mean, really? What did it claim to show, and who published it?
That was Gender, Place and Culture. That's a feminist geography journal. So we're not worried about geography. It's not one of the high up geography journals. But when you get a kind of identity study attached to any other discipline, like feminist geography, feminist social work, then that is when you see some real sort of madness appear. So yeah, our dog park paper, as we call it, it argued that by looking at dogs in a dog park and incidents of unwanted humping among them and how humans reacted to that, we could confidently state that both dog parks and nightclubs were rape condoning spaces and that we should train men like dogs. And we submitted a first draft of this, and it was received positively. One of the reviewers suggested it could be benefited by the addition of black feminist criminology. So we did that, and it really is an absolutely absurd paper, but there's also a very dark element there, because the reason it went down well was because we were claiming a kind of implicit bias. If you've seen the reference to implicit biases, we can't see racism and sexism so easily anymore because it's been criminalised and it's also frowned upon, but it's still believed to be there. So a lot of scholarship looks into ways to dig it out and make it visible. So by making these claims about how people responded to their dogs, we were feeding into that. And by making men the villains of the piece, we were also flattering the political biases. So it's...
And I understand one of your colleagues is now facing a really nasty backlash designed, I would think, to intimidate and to smear rather than to acknowledge that he's exposed something, or you have exposed something that needed to be exposed.
Yeah, we are most worried about Peter. There's constant worries for him at Portland State University. There's only so much we can talk about it because he's not allowed to tell people a lot of what's going on with the internal sort of reviews and things. But he's been found guilty of not getting ethical clearance to test journals, which is ridiculous. But that doesn't seem like it's going to be a huge thing. He's been cleared of data fabrication because we did reveal it ourselves and had the papers withdrawn.
Data fabrication. What was behind him being accused of falsifying data?
Well, I hope you won't think less of us, but we didn't actually examine 10,000 dog genitals.
I'm terribly disappointed. I mean, what can you say? Really?
This is what we've tried. We've tried to point out to people that even if we had...
we're not irresponsible and stupid for publishing this rubbish. You've done the wrong thing because you didn't examine 10,000 dog genitals.
Yeah, and this is one of the criticisms, that a few of our papers had data and it wasn't real. But we did need to test whether highly implausible data would raise any concerns with them. I mean, how is it possible to have 10,000 different dogs in one town and to examine their genitals while asking the owners about their sexuality? It really should have been questioned. And even if we had been able to show that we had done that, it wouldn't justify the claim that dog parks and nightclubs are rape condoning spaces. So this focus on the data and whether or not it was real is really a red herring to get away from the fact that we shouldn't have drawn the conclusions from it that we did anyway.
Well, there are a couple of other doozies that you've referred to here in Australia. One was another recycled material from Hitler's Mein Kampf with feminist rebadging. And a third declared that bodybuilding was fat exclusionary.
Yes. Fat studies is one of the smaller and newer fields that is really quite worrying, because it draws on queer theory, and it goes back to Foucault and his idea that science decides what is true and what is healthy, and that it's done to oppress people. So Fat Studies explicitly rejects the claim that obesity is unhealthy, and it puts pressure on research organisations and medical authorities not to advise people to lose weight. And so we wrote this paper with the help of, with the permission of a former bodybuilder and academic, Richard Baldwin, who kindly donated us his name. And we argued that the only reason people admire bodybuilders who have built their body with muscle and not obese people who have built their body with eating huge amounts of food is because there's prejudice against fat people. And so bodybuilding could benefit from including the non-competitive display of fat bodies alongside muscular ones. And that paper just has an awful lot of silliness in it, and I take that one quite personally because I've been trying to engage with fat studies, as I don't precisely have thin privilege myself, and it's very difficult to talk about the health problems. And for people who are trying to lose weight or trying to get healthy, this kind of activism going on in the background, preventing them getting the right advice and the right medical treatment is I think, is going to be much more of a problem than is currently recognised.